Bankers and lenders are the gatekeepers for wealth and a shot at the American dream. But as Jasmine Stiles found, some black business owners are having trouble gaining access.
People question our sanity when we say we're going to open up a restaurant in this area.
Life is a numbers game for Elihu and Carolyn Brayboy. Married for 41 years, business partners for a little more than 7, born and bred in the Deuces, 1 successful restaurant, and 0 loans.
We applied for a $5,000 line of credit with Bank of America in 2014, and they denied the application.
But even without the help, Chief's Creole Cafe became a success. But like other restaurants, was hit hard by the pandemic.
We find that obtaining financing is very difficult.
But they decided to try again in June. The couple spent hours filling out the application for the federal Paycheck Protection Program loan.
Less than 10 minutes, they sent us a response. Ineligible.
You had to be both a depositor and have a loan. And we did not have a loan.
A recent study shows federal small business loans to black businesses was on the rise between 2006 and 2008. But then, during the Great Recession, dropped from 8 to 3%.
We know we have an unfair financial marketplace. We know that lending discrimination still exists. We know that access to credit is not equal.
Ashley Harrington works with the Center for Responsible Lending, a nonprofit aimed at leveling the financial playing field. We saw the stories of major companies like Shake Shack and Kanye West's Yeezy line getting millions in paycheck protection loans. Harrington believes the money banks get to facilitate those big loans makes lending to small businesses less favorable.
That also limited the incentives of banks to work with the really small businesses, the businesses owned by people of color, because they're making a lot less money to do the same amount of work. After
calls for transparency, the U.S. Small Business Administration recently put out the list on who was receiving paycheck protection loans. We looked at the breakdown on race and found hundreds of thousands of Florida businesses receiving these loans categorized as unanswered.
It was never a goal of theirs to actually collect, track, and release this data.
Harrington says the biggest obstacle black businesses face is going through a lender. A recent Federal Reserve report found 27% of black-owned businesses did not even apply for loans because they feared they'd be turned down.
It's kind of like when you're trying to date someone who rejects you. Do you go back again when you know what they said the first time is what they meant?
The Brayboys say race has definitely been a factor as of late, but in a good way. When word spread about them getting denied the paycheck protection loan, Elihu says the Black Lives Matter movement and the heightened awareness to support black businesses got an ally to step up.
A restaurateur in Tampa called us up and asked us what could he do to help.
He really connected us with a smaller bank. We did the same 3-hour application, the prep work for it, applied and was approved.
The difference was the attitude of the bank.
In the end, it worked out, and Chief's Creole Cafe was given a fighting chance. But Elihu says the financial marketplace needs to be more accessible to everyone.
There's no way you can do the growth of equality and equity without access to capital.
In St. Petersburg, I'm Jasmine Stiles.
As we look at what change could look like in our country, we'd also like to acknowledge the many people already hard at work. People like Gwinnetta Gittins, an educator who says she witnessed and was a victim of unfair treatment as a local teacher. She says she knew the only way to change that was to climb the ranks. So she did, and she made history along the way.
Gwinnetta Gittins, a businesswoman turned teacher for over 13 years, says what came next wasn't exactly part of the plan.
Politics? Are you serious? Oh, no.
Oh, yes. Turns out her love for education only prepared her for a bigger role.
Thought about the days that I sat in the classroom and never thinking I would be up there.
Up there.
Welcome, everyone.
Making history in 2018 as the first Black Lee County School Board member and serving as board chair during her first year. Gittins says her time with students helped her to understand why representation beyond the classroom matters.
Can you imagine being a little brown or black child and you never see anyone in authority that looks like you? What does that say?
In her current position, Gittins is bridging gaps of communication between the district and the families it serves. Her service to the community in this position, historic. And as the district's only Black school board member during a national fight against racial injustice, the wife and mom admits it's tough.
You know, I'm trying to be Black enough and not white and not too far this way and that way. It's exhausting being me.
Exhausted, but motivated. Gittens says the events following the death of George Floyd inspired her, challenging her to share her own experiences.
If I go through these 4 years and I don't say anything, I'm just as wrong as the people that are doing these things.
She says the change needed in our country is similar to the change she hopes to bring to the district, a willingness to have an open mind
and to really listen and hear what people are saying.
Until then, she says she's proud that students in Lee County won't have to wonder what it's like to see an African American on the school board.
It gives hope, I think.
Gwinnetta Gittens inspires hope in so many, identifying a need for change within a system and climbing the ranks to do just that. And did you catch how she said she would never go into politics? It's actually very similar to Dave Thomas's story. He tells us his experiences with law enforcement as a young boy left a bad impression. So as Lisa Greenberg shows us, his career choice is quite surprising.
Dr. David Thomas says he watched the video of George Floyd's deadly encounter with a group of Minneapolis police officers 3 times.
First, I took it for the initial, okay, what's happened here? Then I watched it the second time to try to understand. And then third time, I really kind of get into tactics.
Seeing a video like this,
it scares the hell out of me. I have a grandson in Michigan. I have a son in Texas. And I have a son here in Gainesville.
He says his dad had to talk to him at a young age about how to interact with police.
The first time I had a gun drawn on me by a police officer, I walked up to his car and literally asked him, how fast does this car go? I'm 10. I can remember it like it was yesterday. And he took a .357 Magnum and stuck it in my face and told me to get the hell away from his car. That's a true story. In middle school, they would stop us. Detroit Police Department would stop us. They would drag us in the alley and beat us up.
As a teen, he says he had some strong words about law enforcement.
I hated police with a passion.
So it might surprise you, Dr. Thomas grew up to be a police officer.
What changed me is when I was getting my bachelor's degree, the Detroit Police Department was sending officers to my college to get their degrees. I became friends with a bunch of officers, and I got to know them. When I say friends, I mean like going over their house and help them do the yard and help them fix up their houses, that kind of thing. And that changed my whole perception of because I got to see the human side of these guys, and they were normal people.
He says when he was done with school, the only job he could find was in law enforcement.
My dad, when I told him I was going to become a police officer, I can't repeat exactly what he said, but he said that I was useless. And he couldn't understand after all these years, and I went and got a degree, that I would end up being a police officer.
This photo is from when he graduated from the police academy. Because of what he went through growing up, he says he understands what people protesting feel, but also says the actions of Derek Chauvin don't represent them all.
I think even the police recognize that this has gone too far afield. There really has to be a sense, an attitude change.
From Fort Myers, I'm Lisa Greenberg.
And Thomas does say there needs to be change to police departments to stop incidents like Floyd's death from happening. He says these departments need to clean out these, quote, bad cops, and it's up to the police chiefs to do just that. He also says chiefs need to have closer relationships with the people that they serve.